Alrighty, let's get this show on the road. Good evening, everybody. It's Bobby Harvey back at the platform in Ottumwa, Iowa for another view of Amtrak's California Zephyr, making its station stop live here on the Bobby Harvey Video Productions YouTube channel. So we're starting the stream a little later than we normally do, and that's because the train is running late, about 30 minutes late out of Mount Pleasant. It is just a little after 7 o'clock, 7:13 to be exact, and we're waiting for our train. Now, when I got down here, only momentarily, not too long ago, the signals to our east, which we are looking at right now, down in the distance, they lit up, and then the signals down west here on the BNSF also lit up. So the train's getting closer. There are movements somewhere to allow the signals to come on. It means there's something in the plant. Could be a ways down the line, could be not too far away. But regardless, we've got some action coming. Now, I just noticed that the signal for main 2 for eastbounds is green. So that means that there is a train, an opposing train for Amtrak, because it's a westbound. There is a train coming, going east, a freight train of some kind. The signals to the west, which would be the signals that Amtrak would be facing, they are all red right now. So I wonder if our local is coming. It's always difficult to know what to do when you've got another train lined up and you also got Amtrak coming. Don't know if I should stay here or go down to the end of the platform and by chance maybe get both trains, or just stay here and take our chances. So Amtrak is probably at least, I would say, well, they were going through Fairfield right before I started the stream. So that would put them, anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes away. So it just depends on how far away that freight train is. And as you can see, it's pretty amazing. At this time of year, the sun starts to set a lot sooner. It is only 7:14, and the sun is already going down. At Old Threshers, it was only a couple weeks ago, it was, that much lighter at this time. Give or take, 15 minutes lighter. And it's just amazing how much sooner the sun sets at this time of year. So, for those of you just joining us, we are waiting for Amtrak. Probably another 15 minutes away or so.
Yeah, Mechanical, it's BNSF 1775. Wanted to report the air conditioner on the engineer's side is not blowing cold. It's just barely cool.
Roger that, but it's performing okay on the conductor side, right? But it's just weak on the engineer side?
Yeah, just the engineer side. Conductor side is okay.
Is it blowing hot air or any air? Does it seem kind of like it's very weak or possibly plugged on the engineer side?
It's blowing air and it's blowing on high, but it's kind of like it's on fan, like the compressor ain't kicking in. It's kind of what it's like.
Roger, okay. I'll go ahead and write up to have them check the HVAC and maybe pull the filters on to see maybe if that's causing any issue, but I'll go ahead and put a level 8 on it.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Sure thing, and it's mechanical out.
Okay, well, that might answer our question, and I'm pretty sure that locomotive, BNSF 1700s, I'm pretty sure that is, I'm not for certain, but I think that might be an SD40-2, which would mean that it's probably our local that is coming towards us, going east. And since we could hear the engineer, I'm guessing that they are probably close. But as we can also see, Down there in the distance on the platform, Amtrak is also getting close because the conductor is starting to walk up the platform. They usually don't do that until the train is close. So what are we going to do here? I'd like to get the freight train, but obviously this stream is mainly about Amtrak. But if there's an SD40-2 on the front of that freight train, I might want to get in a good spot to get it. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We don't normally do this, but, oh, well, there is the light of our freight train. Oh man, this is gonna be interesting. The freight train is coming around right now. I don't know how far Amtrak is. It's probably getting close. What do we do? I'm kind of a gambling man sometimes. I think we're just gonna stay put. And we will get the freight train here. And if Amtrak comes in, well, Amtrak might block it. But it usually only takes a couple of minutes from when you see a train approaching in the west to come by. So Amtrak would have to be approaching in the next 2 minutes or so to block us. But there is a freight train approaching, and I'm pretty sure it is BNSF's local train 664. And it might be, I'll have to take a quick look here. The train is on Main 1 crossing over to 2. So here's what we're gonna do. I've got the camera pointed west right now. We're gonna go ahead and walk up the platform. We don't usually do this. Whoops, sorry about that. We don't usually move as we're streaming here at the platform, but we're going to do it today. I really would like to get this train along with Amtrak. So we're gonna walk down the platform just a little bit. Clearly we're still gonna see Amtrak because we are on the platform, but with the length of the Zephyr right now, they're not gonna stop past the platform. So if we set up down here on the edge, we will be able to see this freight train and not have to worry about Amtrak blocking our shot. So for those of you just joining us, don't go away. Amtrak is coming very soon. We've got a nice freight train coming as well, which I think it's got a pretty decent leader on it. So we are going to go ahead and set up here really quick, get everything leveled out, and get ready for this train. Now, as it comes towards us, it's going through the crossovers right now down at the CPKC. There is a set of crossovers, and it's a very slow crossover. Speed limit's like 10 miles an hour. So that's why they're going so slow. Saw the headlights in the distance about, a couple minutes ago. And normally, if it was a train just running on one track or the other, it'd be through here by now, but they're going slow to get through that crossover. Now, A-Train just commented, and we'll get back to all you guys' comments here momentarily. 5 is by agency. Amtrak Train 5, of course, is the westbound Zephyr. So they'll probably be here within the next, give or take, 5-10 minutes. So we would have been okay, as it turns out, where we were. But it's always, when you've got a good train coming towards you, it's always best to kind of err on the side of caution. And this could be a good one. If this is the one that I heard on the radio, this is a BNSF 1700 series locomotive, which I'm pretty sure is an SD40-2. And you do not see those leading trains very much around here anymore, unless it's on the local. Let's see if I could zoom in and see what it is. If it's a... No, still too far away to know what the paint scheme is on it. That must be a long train. They're crawling. So for those of you just joining us, we are waiting on Amtrak, and we also have a BNSF freight train coming towards us right now, going the opposite direction. So we're gonna get it, and then it'll be Amtrak time. Now, as I was saying earlier, just moments ago, I heard on the radio that the crew of this train, I'm pretty sure, was talking to Fort Worth Mechanical, BNSF, about the air conditioner having issues on this locomotive. And I'm guessing it was this train because the crew sounded really close and there's obviously no other freight trains around. So, and they were addressing themselves as a BNSF 1770 something, which I'm pretty sure, I don't have the numberings memorized, but I think it's an SD40-2 leading this train. At any rate, we're gonna find out. Our first train of the night is a BNSF, I'm pretty sure, is the BNSF Local Freight 664. Crossed over from main 1 to 2, and now they're gonna be ramping up speed here as they are clear of the crossover. They can resume normal track speed. I don't know if they have any work down here in the Ottumwa yard or not. But at any rate, here it comes, and we'll get to see what's on this train. I think it's gonna be something good as we wait for Amtrak here on a nice evening in downtown Ottumwa. Oh yeah, just listen to that. That's fabulous. Oh yeah, SD40-2. Gotta love it. That sound never gets old. And as our local clears, here comes Amtrak. So I would have gotten the local, but it would have been very close. So I made the right decision. Kind of a different view than what we're normally used to. Yeah, if it's anything like normal, the locomotives will stop pretty much right in front of us as the California Zephyr pulls into the station in Ottumwa. And we have arrived. California Zephyr has arrived in Ottumwa. Now, I will not be able to stand down here much longer and get a picture because it's going to be dark. We'll have to stay underneath the platform in the future to get any decent pictures because obviously it will not be lit down here. Crew change. I got 2 engineers. Most likely an engineer and a trainee. This line normally just needs one engineer for this particular stretch. Yeah, this is a nice view. But like I said, as the days get shorter, I won't be able to stand and get this view much longer because it's going to be dark and there won't be any light out here. So we'll have to enjoy this while we can. This is a great time of day to be out here though. Twilight, very nice. So we've been going for 16 minutes and we've already gotten quite a bit of action. There's a relief engineer. Santa Fe Fan 92 just asked if those are snowflakes. No, it has been 90 degrees here in Ottumwa. What you see are little like gnats and bugs flying around. Yeah, this is a really nice scene. Passengers getting some pictures of the train. And that's a great thing to do here in Ottumwa. This is a fresh air stop. So the passengers, even if they're still continuing on, it's an extended stop because they're changing crews. So the crew allows the passengers to get off the train, stretch their legs, smoke a cigarette if you choose to do so, and walk the length of the train. Obviously, you can't meander too far away because you don't want to be left at the station. So when they give the all aboard, or if the train blows their whistle, be near the platform so you can get right back on. But a long train trip, especially if you're going a long distance like on the California Zephyr, you need to get off and stretch your legs from time to time because it's a long journey. And you need to get out and get some pictures of the train that you're riding. If you stay on the train the whole time, then you don't get any exterior pictures, which is always nice to have at the end of your trip to look back and you can actually see pictures of the train that you rode. So leading our train tonight is Amtrak P42 DC number 71. It's an older P42. The second locomotive, at least according to the Galesburg rail cam, is P42 number 207, which is actually Amtrak's newest P42. We've got a lot of you here right now.
I don't know if you want to get ahead of it. It's all about that stop signal.
Oh. Yeah, Amtrak does have a stop signal. I wonder why that is, because 664 already cleared.
Good walk, Amtrak.
Hey, Mark, welcome back to the stream. Thank you very much for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
As a conductor, do you agree with clear limits track board number 730-38, all by CTC and Ottumwa?
All right, that was the warning whistle. So everybody's got to get back on the train so the train can head west.
Amtrak 5, headed to conductor, over. John, it's calling you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the signal's cleared up.
We're clear to limit to track warrant number 730-38, all by CTC Ottumwa, over.
Yep.
You agree? Give it up.
Yeah, the signal went to clear now.
And head in 5 conductor, I am secure.
Alright, Amtrak 5, good markers, good paper, active PTC, I'm ready when you are.
Alright, number 5, we can highball, initially move.
Amtrak 5, westbound down the line. Clear to
Off we go. Off they go. California Zephyr now clear the platform in Ottumwa, speeding west towards its next stop in Osceola, Iowa, followed by Creston, Omaha, Lincoln, and all points west. Well, and as you can see, the light keeps getting dimmer and dimmer as the summer fades away. Got about a week of summer left, and autumn will be here. Now, this is a better view to see the California Zephyr knocking down the signal down there at the IC and ERX, which is what BNSF still calls their crossing with CPKC. You can see that Amtrak has it clear, and as Amtrak gets the signal and passes it, you'll see the signal drop from red to green, or excuse me, green to red, from clear indication to stop.
We'd like to release track warrant number 730-3838, over.
Amtrak warrant number 730-38 displayed, over.
Amtrak 71 West reports clear the limits of track warrant number 730-38 between CTC Lucas Street and CTC Ottumwa. Limits reported clear at 1935-1935.
I have AMTK 71 West reporting clear track warrant number 730-38 between CTC Lucas Street and CTC Ottumwa at 1935-1935. Is that correct?
After briefing, conductor and engineer agree that is correct. Times tonight, 26 and 33, over.
All correct, and 26 and... was it 26 and 33? Over?
That is correct, over.
All correct, thank you guys.
Thank you much, have a good night.
You too, BNSF and Thomas Patch out.
All right, so Amtrak just cleared up their warrant, and they've actually been on CTC since they arrived in the station in Ottumwa. Not too long ago, the CTC signals didn't begin until the IC&E crossing down there, but they extended CTC about a mile and a half or so when they put in the new crossover on the east side of the station. So the signals have actually just gone out down there, as we can just see. Amtrak's starting to make the turn to continue west, around the bend, and out of view. So that means there are no more westbound movements after Amtrak. The signals around here only light up if there's something in the plant, something nearby. So when the signals go out, it's a pretty good indicator there's not going to be anything else for a while. I haven't looked at our eastbound facing signals yet. I believe they are out as well. So there goes Amtrak around the bend. And that's it. So we'll keep things going for a little while longer, maybe another 15, 20 minutes or so. And look at that, the signals just came back on. So there might be something else coming. Let me look at the eastbound signals. Now, as far as the local goes, and kind of a tip-off to A-Train, I'm pretty sure that they are still down in the yard here. I see a, looks like a end-of-train device down there. It does appear that there is an end-of-train device blinking down there in the Ottumwa yard, so they may have stopped. So that's too bad, as it clearly won't hit agency until after dark now. That was quite a train, the first train we got tonight. SD 40-2 in the lead. You don't see that much anymore, so it's a real treat when you get to see one. And it wasn't all that long ago that you still saw quite a bit of those engines on the CP. Right after the takeover from when IC&E was purchased by Canadian Pacific, they still ran the IC&E and DM&E SD40-2s for several years after that. And then around 2014, 2015, they were pretty much gone. CP shipped them out to different parts of the line, and actually, I think they sold a lot of them when they spun off the DM&E lines in southern Minnesota and South Dakota, and that's what became what is now the Rapid City, Pierre, and Eastern. Well, we're going to keep the camera pointed this way to see if these westbound facing signals change once Amtrak's gone through a block or two. And we eventually will probably have to retreat underneath the station platform canopies because we're going to run out of light down here. Well, this is a good example. We'll pan back this way in a second, but and a good example of how well the platform is lit with the new lights on the new platforms. So the platform lights are on the old platform, which that will eventually be removed, and the platform lights are on the new platform now. And as you can see, there are very nice, cool white LEDs. So it really lights up the platform. So when you're down there, you can get really good pictures of trains at night. And it lights so well that even trains on Main 2, the opposite track, will also be lit very well. So it's nice that you have a place here in Ottumwa where you can get good pictures of trains at night, especially when you're getting into the fall and winter months when Amtrak will be coming into town going west in darkness every day, which is really not too far away from now. Okay, our signals are still all red to the west. Now to the east, you can probably see it in this view. I'll level things out just a little more. And we'll zoom in. You can kind of see the eastbound facing signal down there, which is red, and you could see the end of the local, which is stopped down there to do work down in the Ottumwa yard. And they do that fairly often. And they pick up cars that Burlington Junction has gotten staged for them that have come out of JBS and Lineage and a couple of the other little, there's a team track down there that has a bunch of different car loading capabilities. Load grain down there a lot. I've seen center beams down there full of lumber. Sometimes, one time I actually saw a bulkhead flat car loaded with logs that the trains will pick up. And the local deals with all that traffic typically. And they will hook up to the cars that are in the yard down there and take them on to Burlington or Galesburg, where they'll be switched out onto other trains to complete their destination. And obviously, if they had any cars to drop, which they probably don't, but they would do that work also. Probably most of that work gets taken care of from the counterpart train, the westbound local 663. Now, the neat thing about that new crossover down there is it's from this direction going east, it's from main 1 to 2. From going west, it's from main 2 to 1. So a westbound local could do work in the yard in Ottumwa and then be able to cross back over to main 1 and not interfere too much with the normal traffic flow. And obviously, Amtrak is stopping on main 1 exclusively now on the new platform. They never stop on the other platform now because eventually that's going to be taken out and there won't be any platforms for main 2. So Amtrak's coming in on main 1 all the time now. And that crossover will allow them to do their station work and then cross right back over to main 2 if they're going east. And if they're going west, let's say they're overtaking a bunch of coal trains, well, they can cross right over to main 1 right before the station and do their work. So it really helps traffic flow on the railroad to have that new crossover put in. And there's another one west that's out of town that allows Amtrak to cross over closer in the west without having to cross over down at Chillicothe. All right, let's look at our westbound signals. Still red. We're going to go ahead and walk back down under the station platform canopies. So we're gonna, might be a little jerky here for a second as we walk back down there. So I think this is only the second stream that I've done. And we'll zoom out really quick so it's not so shaky. I think this is the only second stream that I've done this year where I've actually moved the camera while filming. I used to do this quite a bit when I did my traveling streams, which I'm gonna do some of those again here, maybe when the winter months get in, maybe occasionally. So we'll get back under the nice lit platform here and go through the chat and have some railroad discussion with you guys before we wrap up the stream. And maybe in that time frame, maybe we'll get another train. So as you can see, this is really nice light. Pretty much it lights up main 1 almost like it's daytime. And once that second platform is taken out, you'll get a really nice unabashed view of trains on main 2 as well. And obviously these platforms will light up the scene for trains on either track. It's really nice. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and level things out again here. Now that Amtrak's gone, I can have a little more freedom, if you will, as to where I put the tripod. I always try to keep the tripod over on the back of the platform so I'm not impeding any of the passenger flow. Try to stay out of everybody's way because I'm just an observer. I'm just down here documenting and filming. Don't want to get in the way of any passengers or crew. But as you can see, when the days get shorter and when Amtrak comes down here at dark all the time, we'll be able to have a very nice view of the train regardless. All right, so I've got a very nice view of both sets of signals right now. Signals to our west are all red still. Eastbound trains, there probably won't be any because the local is down there doing work right now. And I'm actually kind of surprised I'm not hearing them on the radio. As you can see, the bugs are really out right now. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go through the chat and kind of have some discussion with you guys as we wait for another train maybe. Only about 30 minutes into the stream. We'll go all the way back to the beginning here. So Dakota was here right off the bat. He says hi. Santa Fe Fan 92 is here. James is here. Welcome. Okay, Santa Fe Fan 92. Man, these bugs are bad. That's okay. He says, what's your opinion? And this is a good question. What's your opinion on Union Pacific buying out Norfolk Southern? Well, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, to say the least. I think with the CPKC merger going through, that and it was successful, and CPKC is now entering their, what is it, the second year of operations, believe it or not. I think that's kind of encouraged other railroads to try, at least attempt to merge. And a lot of people figured that that was going to happen. If CPKC's, if the merger went through successfully, that other railroads would follow suit and try to merge as well. I also think that, and this just is, the way the world works, politically, it's more favorable politically right now for the two railroads to merge. The current administration is more friendly to big business and mergers and stuff like that, whereas other administrations might not be as friendly. So I'm not trying to go into politics, but I think that's another reason why the merger is attempting to happen now. It's because it's a good time to do those things, because everybody in Washington is going to be more favorable towards it. But I'm not really sure it's a good idea as far as business is concerned for the customers, on the customer side of things. Because it seems like whenever companies get bigger, the quality of serving customers kind of goes down. Not always, but it seems to be what happens. Of course, you go all the way back to when railroads really started merging back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and the same opinion was felt by railroaders and rail fans alike. And time will tell, but it'll be one of the largest railroad mergers ever when this happens. I mean, it'll create a true coast-to-coast railroad for the first time ever. It's really a big deal if it goes down, but it's going to be a long process. It's going to be over a year before a decision is actually made, and that's just how the process works. Union Pacific has to submit. I mean, UP and NS have already agreed to it, so they're going to be putting in the request to the Surface Transportation Board, and I think that's going to be around Christmas time, if I remember right. And then the STB has to go through the whole process of, it's a huge process. There's a lot of hearings, and there's a lot of, other railroads have to weigh in and have, their opinions on what they would like done. If the merger does go through, there's probably going to be a lot of concessions where UP might have to sell off track, or NS, to other railroads to make it fair. Other railroads might want to get trackage rights out of a new merger, stuff like that. And it's a long, long process. And it may not be approved. I mean, there's a lot of history of mergers where the two railroads agreed to merge, but then it didn't get through either the STB, or if you go further back, the Interstate Commerce Commission, the ICC. It didn't get through the regulatory hurdles, and it didn't happen. Now, there's two that come to mind right off the bat. And anybody that's a rail fan or a railroader probably knows which two I'm talking about. Now, more recently, you go back to the year 2000 when BNSF and Canadian National attempted to merge, and it did not go through. Yeah, that sounds like a CPKC train coming into town. Won't be able to see it though because it's dark down there in the Diamond. So that merger didn't go through. BNSF and CN did not go through, and I don't know what the decision was, but I think it had something to do with there was too much overlap. Like there was not enough, like it was like creating a monopoly in certain areas, but it probably was other reasons too. So that merger did not go through, and obviously right now BNSF and CN are still separate railroads 25 years later. Now you go further back, and this is... Okay, let's see. Okay.
Okay, understand. I'll finish with the work at Ottumwa. Switch line back for main track 2 use. I appreciate it. Over. BNSF, Ottumwa, dispatch out.
Okay, so there is a CPKC train going through behind us at the Diamond. We're not able to see that because it's too dark, and it's too far away anyways. As far as a train going east, the local, what you heard on the radio, they're just about ready to head out of town. So a train over there, an agency, unfortunately it's going to be dark by the time the train comes through, and unfortunately there's not any place in agency, I don't think, that provides a whole lot of light for a night shots. But I don't know, maybe if you rig up some car lights in a certain place, you might be able to get a brief view of it. But they're heading on east, and the signals to the west have actually gone out. So I don't know if the local was tripping them somehow, or maybe the CPKC train going through is affecting the aspects. At any rate, we'll just get back to the discussion here and see what happens on the trains, on the railroad, in the meantime. Now, back in the 70s, the other merger that I'm thinking about that did not go through, which is a more famous failed merger, and I'm sure all of you probably know what I'm referring to. I think it was back in the 70s, late 70s, maybe the 80s, when Santa Fe and Southern Pacific attempted to merge. And that also did not go through. And it wouldn't surprise me if it was probably for the same reason. There was just too much overlap in both railroads' lines. It would have created, monopolies and redundancy and stuff like that. But that merger did not go through. But the funny thing is, they actually went ahead and started repainting engines. And so they repainted them, but in different, they only repainted like part of them. So it was a neat paint scheme, actually. They called it the Kodachrome because it kind of reminded rail fans of Kodachrome film boxes that a lot of rail fans took camera pictures, still camera photographs with Kodachrome film back in the day. It was yellow and red, and the paint schemes were only done halfway. The Santa Fe engines would either have SF on them, Southern Pacific engines would have SP, and the plan at the merger finalizing was that they would add the SF or the SP onto the engines to create SPSF, Southern Pacific Santa Fe. I believe there was only like one engine that was actually painted all the way for like promotional purposes, and one caboose. The others were just painted halfway. And there were quite a few of them that were painted that way on both railroads. I don't know how many there were, but obviously the merger didn't go through, and so it was it probably was kind of embarrassing for both railroads to, they had their heart set on merging, and then it didn't happen. And so SPSF became an acronym for shouldn't paint so fast. And the cool thing though was that the Kodachrome engines still trundled around both systems for many years. In fact, I think there were still some on Burlington Northern and Santa Fe when BNSF merged. I think there was at least one or two still running at the time of the BNSF merger. Obviously, they were just plain old Santa Fe engines at that point, and I think there are some that have been preserved in different areas, not operational, but there's still some of them around in certain places of the country. So yeah, there's no telling what'll happen with the UP and NS merger. Who knows what'll happen? My guess, I have no idea, but I have a feeling it's probably going to happen. With just the way the attitude in Washington is right now, they're a little more favorable towards big mergers. And actually, the Union Pacific president just made a visit to the White House recently. So I don't know if they was talking to the president about the merger or what the deal was, but I have a feeling it might happen. But we'll just have to see. It's all up to what the Surface Transportation Board rules. All right, so the signal to our east is at approach. I don't know if you just heard that that little toot of the horn. I don't know if I think that train might have actually been coming into town on the other side of the river, because the signals down at the IC&E are out. I think they're usually lit if there's a train crossing the diamond, so I'm pretty sure. Let me get a better look here. Yeah, our signal for an eastbound is at approach. So I don't know if yeah, that train that you hear is a CPKC train, which is out of view to our behind us. And obviously those are the only trains that blow their whistles still in Ottumwa. BNSF is in a quiet zone. Have been for almost 6 years now, believe it or not. All right, so we're gonna go back through some more of the chat here really quick. Matthew Bernstein's here. He's gonna ride the Missouri River Runner Friday and Saturday, going from Kansas City to Jefferson City. That'd be neat. I haven't ridden that train yet. Boy, the bugs are just thick out here. They really like these LED lights. Now, Santa Fe Fan 92 asks down a little further down the chat, have you ever filmed any trains on the BNSF Des Moines subdivision? Only around Albia. That's the only place I've really ventured so far to get trains on that line. Haven't really had a chance. Usually when I'm up at Des Moines, we're doing other things. I don't really have any chance to rail fan. But the only time I've gotten trains on that line is around Albia. It's a pretty neat line, though. If I ever have a chance to film the trains up there, it'd be pretty neat. It's obviously the old Norfolk Southern. Dakota comments about the other platform. So with the platform being removed, people really should be getting those photos. Yep. It's pretty amazing. I've been getting pictures of trains down here for well over 20 years now. Been watching trains down here even longer than that. It's pushing 30 years now, believe it or not. First came down here, actually it's been over 30 years. First time I ever came down here was in 1993 when I was about a year and a half old. My mom actually has video of that time we were down here. Got to see a freight train with a caboose and the California Zephyr. It was a pretty neat day, to say the least. And little did I know then, as just a 1.5-year-old, that I'd be getting so many pictures and having so many moments down here at the station all these years later. And really, besides the new platform, which is a renovated version of the old platform, they literally redid and refurbished the old platform and put it back up. So it's still portions of the old platform here. Apart from that, and it definitely looks better than it did. The platform looks fantastic. But other than that, the scene down here really hasn't changed that much over the years, which is nice. If anything, it's gotten a little better. Nice to have a really nice platform to sit on and watch trains and get on and off Amtrak when you ride. All right, so back through the chat. Pete Wink actually said that someone got left at Fort Madison a couple of weeks ago. Left on the platform, I'm guessing. I don't know if Fort Madison is actually a fresh air stop. I don't know if it is. I know Galesburg is, but... Huh. So our eastbound signal is now clear. Yeah, we'll see. The westbound signals are still dark, so we'll just go through the chat and see where we're at then and determine whether we'll get that train or not, because it still might be a ways away. Yeah, Mark joined in. Thanks again, Mark, for the super chat. That is really nice of you. J-Max officials here. Got a shave and a haircut. Horn salute from crew today on Amtrak, I'm guessing. That's pretty cool. I've only gotten a few of those on tape, believe it or not. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's like an unofficial, achievement of a rail fan to have a engineer give you a shave and a haircut salute on the horn. Along with Christmas time, sometimes the railroaders will actually play jingle bells on the horn. like the rhythm of jingle bells on the horn. I've actually gotten that on video once. Mark's talking about Mike Jensen over in Fort Morgan, Colorado. He gets pictures of the train almost daily, the Zephyr, the westbound Zephyr. He'll be getting pictures of this train tomorrow morning. Hello for You asks, when they change crews, the same crew on Amtrak next day heading east? Well, maybe, because they changed crews again. The crew that got on the train here will get off in Lincoln, and I don't know if it might be pretty close for them to turn around and get the next train going east that same day. So they might have a break, and it's about a 24-hour break, and then get on the next train. Ideally, when they get on at Lincoln, they will bring the train to Ottumwa and then turn around and get on the evening train back to Lincoln in the same day. But obviously that depends on how late the trains are. If the train's really late, it's possible that the westbound train will already come through before they're even here, which is very unlikely, but not unheard of. A few weeks ago, we actually got to see both eastbound and westbound Zephyrs within like 15 minutes of each other. That's pretty interesting. But typically that's how it goes. They get on at Lincoln, they bring it over to Ottumwa, and then they change crews, and then the relief crew takes it on to Chicago, and then the crew that got off here will lay over and get on the westbound train that evening and take it back to Lincoln. And once they get to Lincoln, I think they have about a 24-hour rest period before they do it again. It's probably not a really bad run to do, actually, because it's typically daytime hours. Early mornings and then late evenings, but during the day, and, you know, getting a day off every other day is probably nice, but you know, obviously it depends on the train schedule. It's probably a lot better to be part of the operating crew on Amtrak as opposed to freight trains, because they do run on more of a schedule, so you have an idea of when you're working every day. On the railroad, that's always a nice thing, because you never know. You could be anywhere at any time. It's hard work, and the hours are really rough a lot of times. Really appreciate what they do, though. It's more than just, you know, for rail fans, you know, being able to get pictures of trains. I mean, they're moving the country, which includes passengers. It's a really important job. Really appreciate everything they do. Now, JMax Official asks, am I going to do these streams in the winter as well? I'm going to try. It might be really cold sometimes, just like it's been really hot in the summertime. But if I can be out here when it's 90 degrees, I can be out here when it's, you know, 15 or 20 or lower. Just bundle up. Might get some good pictures. And Mark asks, how is Old Threshers? It's really good. It was a really good year at Old Threshers. Got a lot of good video. I'm actually going through the screenshots that I've taken from the video, which I usually go through and edit some screenshots for the cover art from my videos that I make, and also the thumbnail images for my YouTube uploads. It's usually what I do first, and then I'll go ahead and start actually working on the video, writing the narration, recording it, and getting all that going. But I'm hoping to get this year's Old Threshers video done within the next month and a half or so. I don't have any other outstanding projects ahead of it this year for once, so I've gotten right on it and I've started to work on it. But yes, it was a very, very fun year at Old Threshers. Nice weather, only slightly humid. The temperature at its highest was mid to lower 80s each day, and it was cool mornings. It was nice. It's a really good time at Old Threshers this year. All right, Santa Fe Fan 92, and this is going to be a very abbreviated answer because it's a long story, but well, not really. He asks, what got you into trains? Two things. And I really think I was marked at birth because my mother was a rail fan long before I was even thought of. She was a rail fan out of college, and she lived in Dallas at the time and would go down to Union Station in Dallas and make friends with the crew and on Amtrak and station agents and stuff, and she just got into trains. And she likes telling the story of, this was back in the early days of Amtrak, when her and her parents took a trip, kind of a whirlwind trip from Dallas to Chicago and back on the early days of Amtrak. And it was a bad trip. It was during the winter, and there were frozen switches, and the dining car ran out of food, and they misplaced their bags, their luggage, and there was a lot of bad things that happened. But she loves retelling the story of coming out of Chicago and being in the dome car on the train. Of course, they had dome cars back then, single-deck cars, and going past all of those old CB&Q overhead signals and watching the train knock them down from green to red. And it was just kind of a surreal experience, just kind of a really cool. And she said that is kind of what got her into trains, like really kind of sealed the deal. Well, she always appreciated trains, but that's what really got her into trains, was that moment on the old California Zephyr, or might have been the Inter-American, actually, one of the older Amtrak trains going out of Chicago. So she was a rail fan before me. Okay. Sounds like the dispatcher just talked to a BNSF freight. Probably our eastbound. There is a CPKC train crossing in front of them, which is pretty quiet. Apart from the horn, I haven't really heard any noise coming through the diamond. So it sounds like when they clear, then this freight train will go through. So we might have one more train for the stream. So anyways, my mom was a rail fan before me, and so I really think that I was marked at birth, that I just was born a rail fan, which sounds kind of silly, but I'm not the only one that said that trains are kind of in your blood. But as Santa Fe Fan 92 just commented, there was also something else that got me into trains. It was kind of the catalyst, if you will, that really kind of sealed the deal, and that was, of course, Thomas the Tank Engine. And back then, the old show, Shining Time Station, is what got me in the trains. And that's what really sealed the deal. I was watching Thomas, Shining Time Station, before I was even a year old. So I've pretty much been a rail fan my entire life. That's what got me in the trains. The first trains I ever saw, and we still lived in Texas at the time. I'm actually from Texas, born in Dallas. The first trains I ever saw were on the Dallas, Garland, and Northeastern Railroad behind the public library in Garland, Texas. And cool thing is that track, I think it was always just kind of a spur track going to some industries. That track is still there, and I think the railroad still runs trains on that line occasionally. But it's also on the same right-of-way as the modern-day Dallas Area Rapid Transit Blue Line light rail system. So it's kind of neat that the first place I ever saw trains now actually has way more train traffic now than it did back then. The first train I ever rode was the Texas State Railroad out in East Texas. And I was very, very young. I was just a baby, and I'm pretty sure I slept for half of the trip. And the rest is history. And here we are now. Now, as far as taking pictures and particularly video of trains, what really got me interested in that aspect of railroading and being a rail fan, I believe it was probably inspired by the video America by Rail, which my mom got me for my 3rd birthday. It was brand new in '94, and I absolutely loved that video. Watched it over and over and over again. still watch it from time to time today. I still regard it as one of the best train videos ever made. Of course, now it's, been over 30 years since it came out, and it's significantly, dated, but still, production-wise, it holds up very well. And now it's kind of like a time capsule. Amtrak does not look anything like it did back then. It's still a really neat program, something that I've kind of wanted to replicate in the modern times with my own productions. It kind of inspired me to do what I do now. All right, I think we're about caught up in the chat here, and I hope that this CPKC train clears so we can get one more train before we say goodbye tonight. Dakota said, I don't know how you're just standing there talking with a swarm of bugs. Yeah, I don't think they're anything, I think they're just gnats. They're not mosquitoes or anything, but, well, there's a spider up there too. Guess I better be careful. Well, before our train gets here, we'll maybe take a look at these little flying creatures. Yeah. Zoom up on Mr. Spider. There he is. You can see him right there on the left. I bet he's having a field day. He's like, wow, this is gourmet dining. He's not going to go hungry tonight, that's for sure. And Dakota is talking about a ghost train. I wonder if that's when the signals went on and off. Now, speaking of ghost trains, the next Old Threshers event is going to be happening in a few weeks. The Midwest Haunted Rails with the Ghost Train of No Return and the Ghostly Trolley, run by the Old Threshers Reunion and Midwest Central and Midwest Electric Railway. It'll be the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th weekends in October. Just go ahead and do a Google search for Midwest Haunted Rails. They've got a website with a flyer and everything that's going on. You buy a wristband and you can ride the haunted trains and trolleys for the entire length of the event, the whole time you're there, as many times as you want. And there's some other things there too. There's a haunted house and there's activities and rides, and it's pretty cool. And it's totally different. You wouldn't think that an event on the Old Threshers grounds would be much different from Old Threshers, but it is. It is an entirely different atmosphere. It is really neat. So anybody that's around Mount Pleasant and the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th weekends of October, just go down to the Old Threshers grounds and check out Midwest Haunted Rails. It is a really unique, really fun event. The South Station on the Midwest Central is pretty much transformed into a giant haunted house, and the train goes through the station, and you are taken right through this incredible haunted house full of a bunch of animatronic, figures and ghosts and clowns and all that other stuff, all that spooky stuff. And the Midwest Electric takes you around to a bunch of, spooky things in the campgrounds. It's a really fun event. So I'm looking forward to that if we're able to go over there this fall. We're almost caught up in the chat, and we are going to get one more train in the stream for tonight. That eastbound train that was waiting on the CPKC train we heard blowing its whistle earlier. I thought that was the northbound train, but it wasn't. It was a train going south across the BNSF. So now that it's cleared, this eastbound freight train, whatever it may be, is getting its turn to head east. So we're going to get this train, and we're going to say a few more words in the live chat and probably wrap things up for tonight. It's been a good stream. This will be our 3rd train. Not bad. And this is how it's going to be in the future when there's not much light in the end of the day, and pretty much our entire stream is going to be after dark. Always nice to get some night trains. And here it comes. Even things out here. There we go. I have no idea what it is, so we'll see what it is. Just your average coal train. Nothing wrong with that. Nice variety. We've seen a different train for all three of the trains we've seen tonight. So the weather has been a lot different compared to last week when it was actually cooler, like fall. Today, in the past few days, it's been right back to summer-like weather, but we are only about 8 days until fall. About ready to enter our final full week of summer. Just a matter of time before the weather will be getting cooler. And then we won't have to deal with all these pesky bugs. Yep, here comes the end of the train, the DPU. ES44 AC on the back. Pair of SD70 ACs on the front. And off it goes. So we got 3 trains tonight. Got the BNSF Local 664 going east, first train, and then Amtrak California Zephyr going west, and then just now, just clearing the station, an eastbound BNSF loaded coal train. Now that is one of the GEVOs that has an LED light on the end, I'm pretty sure. BNSF has been kind of silently, in a way, converting their some of their engines to having warm white LEDs for the headlights instead of incandescent light bulbs. So I don't know if they're one of the first railroads to do that, freight-wise. It's pretty interesting to see. Kind of have to do a double take when you see it, because I'm just not used to seeing that outside of, you know, the brand new engines on Amtrak and the like. So yeah, 3 trains, a little over an hour is not bad on this line. And Mark says he has a first cousin originally from Alvia that is retired and lives in Bryan, College Station, Texas. That's pretty neat. It's not too far away from Dallas. Kind of in between Dallas and Waco, I think. And as far as the groundhog goes, I have not seen him in quite a while. Mr. Patrick the Groundhog. All right, folks, it's getting late, so we're going to go ahead and wrap things up for the night. It's been a successful stream. A lot of you guys have tuned in. Got to see quite a bit of action from a couple of different camera angles than we normally do. I'll probably try and do that in future streams until I run out of light completely, because that's a neat view. I have to remember that in future streams and for next year when the light comes back. In the springtime, to go down there on the end of the platform occasionally and get some shots down there. Because then when freight trains come by, Amtrak won't block them. They come by at the same time they're in the station. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up for the evening. There will not be a live stream next weekend. I'll just make a mental note. We will be skipping a week. Got some fun activities planned for next weekend out of state, so I will not be doing a live stream next weekend. So we'll shoot for the following weekend to come back sometime Saturday or Sunday, not next week but the week after, to do our next live stream here from Ottumwa. As always, next video I'm working on is going to be Old Threshers. I hope to have it released within the month, maybe the end of October, around Halloween, probably when Haunted Rails is wrapping up. So be on the lookout for that, and any other videos I take in the meantime before our next stream, or during all these live streams that I do. So be on the lookout for all of those as well. So with that, that wraps up tonight's stream. We're going to head on home and get away from these bugs. So thank you everybody for joining in tonight. And for those of you that missed out on the action, just go ahead and rewind the stream and be able to see Amtrak and the 2 freight trains we saw, and all the railroad discussion we had in the meantime and afterwards. And the full archive, when I'll go ahead and bookmark all of the scenes from the video, it'll be up probably within the next 12 hours or so, afternoon of tomorrow. So again, there will be no live stream next weekend. We'll shoot for the weekend after to come back out here and do another stream. As always, just be on the lookout for notices of that on my channel, my Facebook page, and we will see you all then, if not before. So for that, we're going to head on and go ahead and wrap things up for the evening. So thank you all for watching. It's been a fun stream here after dark in Ottumwa, and we'll see you next time here in Ottumwa and wherever else I take pictures of trains in the meantime. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you in a couple weeks here on the live streams. So long, everyone, and thank you for watching.